Hey guys, thank you so much for joining back in to the next episode of the 3 a.m. show. I'm so excited to interview my next guest today. His name is William Sidwick. William, thank you so much for joining us at the 3 a.m. show. This is this place where we explore ideas, people, stories, and which awaken us. And you're the founder of Follow What Resonates, and it's a movement and a practice helping people reconnect with their inner truth. They embody presence and live with a sense of freedom that feels authentic and not forced. From years, William, you have worked as a nurse to your time to long meditation retreats and to your journey through addiction and healing. So your story is truly very fascinating on how you've transformed into the person you are today. So thank you so much for being here, William.
My pleasure.
So tell us about the moment you realized how living how others expect was not working for you and you wanted to change something and you wanted to feel something different.
Mm. Uh, I mean, I don't think that there was one kind of clear moment. I think that it was a series of moments, but I think that if there was one kind of turning point, that would have been the first Vipassana silent meditation retreat that I did. Um, I remember coming out of that and really just following more what my body was telling me and listening to myself maybe for the first time. I think particularly in my childhood, I kind of followed my brother, followed my friends, and then even growing into young adulthood as well, also just kind of followed my best friend, and he kind of led life for me, and I just did what he did.
Mhm,
And after that meditation retreat, yeah, there was a tremendous shift in terms of actually doing what I wanted to do, which
mhm,
maybe didn't fall into alignment with what other people wanted to do. But yeah, it felt really, uh, I don't know, like I was starting to actually do things for myself for the first time.
mhm. And if you had to describe in just simple words for someone who doesn't know you of your work and what you do on a daily basis, how would you say that?
I would say that I work with people's mindsets.
Mhm,
So it's a process, a transformational process, because it really does change your life. And I know because I'm a product of this process myself. I've been through it, and that's how I work with people because I've had personal experience through it. Um, but essentially, I dive into whatever's going on in their life and try to really cut to the root of what's going on, because often people are just looking at the leaves while the root is rotting. They're focusing on these small things in their lives, like the fact that they don't have a romantic partner, or I don't know, that they don't have the new iPhone or something like this, when there's something missing internally, not something externally.
mhm,
So I really hone in on the base of what's going on underneath everything. And that's often by kind of drawing back through their life and starting to look at the inception of their creation of their framework of the world. Um, so yeah, it's a really transformational process. Honestly, I think people are taken aback usually when they do their first session with me, um, because they are coming in expecting one thing, and then I kind of shift their entire world.
mhm. So is that how you came up with Follow What Resonates? And why did you name it Follow What Resonates? Like, what does that phrase exactly mean?
Follow what resonates is the only thing that I believe to be an absolute truth. In
Mhm,
terms of, I think that I don't. Yeah, I believe that our body tells us things continuously. It's something that lots of people have lost contact with, but the body is a feeling machine. And all of those things are messages and inputs. And if we actually listen to that and follow from there, provided, of course, that we have done the work to actually understand what that all means, we then move into a life of our own creation, and one that is aligned with our true core values and who we truly are. And again, this is another thing that people often lose connection with, is who they really are. We spend our lives performing for other people and trying to please others. And it's usually around these very early years when that departure has been made.
Mhm. So it basically means trusting your inner feedback in a short sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's a fair way to put it.
So how will you help someone who can't tell the difference between their intuition and fear or visual thinking?
Mhm. Um, I think intuition is expansive. It's something that even when it's scary, it feels like an opening. Fear is closed, it's tight.
Mhm.
And I think that when we lead from a place of intuition, we move towards a place that we find the thing that we're looking for ultimately.
Mhm.
Whereas fear is just protection, safety, all of that kind of thing, and doesn't allow us to live as we truly wish to.
Mhm.
As for wishful thinking, I personally feel like we could probably do with more of that in the world.
So if you think that someone's trying to heal from something, or you're trying to escape something, those are two different feelings. How do you tell there's the difference between healing fully from something and escaping it?
Healing is going into something, but escaping is moving away from.
Mhm.
So I I could draw back to my experience when I was doing lots of meditation. I was trying to remove myself from what was going on. I because of old conditioning of the mind and because of what I wanted to kind of portray myself as a good meditator or something like this, I was closing down what I was allowing myself to be. Whereas when I started to actually allow that to come through me and allowed myself to sit with what was going on, that's when you start to see what what is there. And instead of pushing things into a corner or saying that things aren't allowed to be there, actually giving them space. And that you spent your life probably saying to that certain parts of you don't deserve space or time, or that you're ashamed of them or something like this. And it's that love and understanding that you, as the 3-year old or whatever age it was, didn't get. And so you're just repeating that still with this inner child that you carry. You're still not giving it love and understanding. You're saying, I've got to do this, I've got to be better, I've got to change, la da 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 da. And it's showing it what it's always been craving for that is the way towards healing.
Do you think someone who did not get enough love as a child, who was neglected a lot, they have the tendency of becoming famous when they grow up because they did not get the love and attention they deserved as a child, and now they want to compensate that in exchange for love and attention from millions and millions of people?
I wouldn't like to assume. I think that I think that we're all doing that in some way. Um, I think that regardless of what love you received, it's your perception of it. It's the needs that you have that perhaps weren't met, regardless of how loving your parents were. It's the way that you perceive things and how you relate to the world. Again, it comes back to that framework that you created. And certainly, I mean, I spent my childhood performing as an actor, doing musicals and all this kind of thing. And there's been a lot of reflection on that in terms of the external validation that I was seeking for. But in a way, we're all constantly doing this. We're all humans, you know. We can have these spiritual ideals of being totally unattached to everything, but in truth, we have relationships. We have parents still. We have siblings. We have partners. We have friends.
Mm,
And when within any relationship, there's constant interaction.
mm,
And so that has to be worked out. That can't just be ignored and pretending that you're on some other level that isn't true.
mm.
Yeah. I mean, this is all about truth and honesty.
Is that what you think what true love is? It's basically fully loving ourselves before loving someone else.
I think that loving other people, I think that being particularly in a romantic relationship
Mm,
really creates a doorway and or rather is a mirror that
mm,
reflects back to you so you can see how better to love yourself.
mm,
I think that ultimately the work, yes, is to love ourselves, but also some of the most beautiful things you can do in this life is to love another person or to love multiple people. Really, it's when we let go of the boundary of who we love in terms of I'm going to draw a circle and only my family and my friends and my partner and whoever are in that circle and everyone else is outside of it. Once we expand that circle and this love becomes more and more limitless,
mm,
then that all feeds back. It's all one massive loop. It comes and it goes. It's this energy exchange. When we give love, we also receive love. So it's also walking down the street with a complete stranger and sending a smile their way, or and even if you get nothing back in exchange, but just just this continuous flow of love.
mm.
Because why not?
Exactly. Hmm. So, what's the uh, understanding of love which has slowly evolved when you first started to get to know yourself and you deepen your connection with yourself even better?
Hmm. It's definitely an ever-changing thing. It's I think really it's about allowing myself to slow down, not
Mhm,
trying to do three things all at once,
mhm,
but rather just to go, okay, I'm going to do this now. Even if that is watching, I don't know, watching a film or something like that, something where I'm just like, I'm not going to do anything else now but this. And allowing myself to be completely in one thing. Because it's giving, when I allow myself that kind of space and time, I really appreciate everything. There's this sense of being actually connected to what you're doing instead of trying to rush through it in order to get to the next thing. And yeah, I think this was a massive disconnect for me when I was living back in London was
mhm.
this sense back then that yeah, I was trying to live at a certain speed that just didn't work for me.
Where all have you lived in your entire life? Which all countries have you stayed and lived in?
Gosh, a lot. I've spent lots of time in various parts of India,
Mhm,
uh, of Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia. I'm currently in Korea.
mhm,
Um, I've also spent time throughout Europe and then in South America as well, in Argentina, Bolivia, and Peru.
mhm.
I was actually stuck in Peru in a meditation center for 7 months by myself, which was uh, pretty. Um, well, I mean, that was the beginning of my kind of crumbling that eventually led me to rebuild myself as you see me before you.
Mhm.
Um, and also I've spent a very short period of time in Durban as well in South Africa.
That's a lot of countries, a lot of countries. So, how did you end up fitting your work schedule around so much traveling all the time? And how do you work with your clients? What do you usually do when you enter a new country? And how do you choose when to leave? Or what's the whole process like?
Uh, again, in terms of the process of choosing when to leave, it's pretty
Mhm.
much following what resonates. It's just listening to what my body is telling me, what I kind of feel like I need in that moment. And that really does serve me. I've spent so many years doing these silent meditation retreats, and I think the process of feeling, in terms of feeling bodily sensations, it from my experience at least, it seems like it works from the outside in terms of you begin by feeling things on the surface of your skin, or the really intense sensations like pain and tightness and all of that kind of thing. And over time it becomes subtler and subtler. And so I feel like I have a very strong connection to my body, and really my work is centered around coming back into your body. But that just tends to lead me. And in terms of what I do when I arrive in a new country, is usually search for a gym, search for uh, a, hopefully a man circle or some sort of social gathering that doesn't involve alcohol. Um, and yeah, and then look for the nature, look for the water, look for the mountains. Mm.
So, how do you end up working with clients all over the world who are so disassociated from their body sensations? And exactly do you start with them? What's the journey like of the whole working and healing someone who wants to follow what resonates?
Mhm, sure. Um, yeah, I meet people in a myriad of different ways. Sometimes I offer free sessions. Other times I do workshops in certain places. Other times I hold coaching circles where I'm kind of working with other people, or various clients at the same time. And the process is, yeah, it's to start slow. It's to ultimately just start by slowing down, by
Mhm.
coming in contact with something like your hands and your feet, just because your palms and the soles of your feet are incredibly sensitive, and we can very easily feel that. Um, just coming into their body, and then yeah, it's really a very intuitive process, depending on what comes up for them, what I feel would be beneficial to them. And yeah, it's always a two-way thing. It's never me having a strict process that I say you've got to follow this, but rather me listening to them and encouraging them to listen to themselves.
Mhm. So, are there any tiny practices which you give to your clients when they have a session with you so that they continue that practice at home, like meditation or yoga, or for them to truly like feel the inner deepness?
Yeah, there are lots of different suggestions that I give, kind of journaling exercises, things like that. Um, Also, I usually start every session with a guided meditation of sorts, a kind of grounding. And clients have often asked me to send them recordings so they can kind of do that on a daily basis or something like that. And I also do guided inner child work, I suppose, is what I would call it. Um, Kind of essentially transporting them back in time and coming face to face with their inner child. And again, some clients have requested that I make recordings of that so that they can experience that as well.
So, whenever you are working with someone in a new country, what is there something new you discover that about someone who has healed from their past and they want to move on to something new, and they come to you and you've seen something new every single time you go to a new country, you meet new people, you speak to new clients. So, whenever you do this, what's the most surprising thing you've discovered beneath your own defenses?
Beneath my own defenses.
Yes. Is there something you discover about your own self when you're speaking to new people?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, yeah, things come up for me, of course. Like I could get triggered in a session with somebody,
Yeah.
um, and again, it's about having this open line of communication. I kind of feel like honesty is both my greatest weakness and my greatest strength. My partner often gets upset with the level of honesty to which I kind of convey things with. Um, but I think that that's essential in the work that I do in terms of to actually be of greatest service to my clients is by being honest with them, by cutting through the bullshit and yeah, and helping them in the most direct way that I think I can.
And was there a specific patient or moment or memory that still stays with you after being in this journey for such a long time? Something that has changed you a lot.
I don't know. As I try to think, so many different faces come into my mind. I think it goes back to what I was speaking about earlier. This idea of this love, this kind of opening of love, just holding space for somebody is to love them. You know,
Mhm.
it's 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 to show them what they haven't been shown before, and or in most cases, they very often haven't been shown. It's exactly what they were seeking when they were this 3-year-old child, when they created all of these different divisions to try and manage themselves so that they could survive through that circumstance. It's allowing them to be fully themselves and for that full self of theirs to be fully seen. And just that can be so transformational for someone.
When someone feels lost in their life, they're feeling numb or disconnected, and they're unsure where to start. Do you think that to some extent, having a feeling of numbness, of being so disconnected or from anything, is a good thing to some extent because it makes you stoic. It makes your mindset even stronger than before because you've been through so many things that you don't really have to rely on anyone anymore. Do you think that's a good thing?
Uh, I can't agree with the idea of not relying on anyone anymore. We're so interdependent as human beings. We couldn't survive without at least another 1,000 people being on this earth to do everything that we need to do.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, I've forgotten the first bit of your question now, though, my bad.
About it's okay, totally fine. This is basically about the numbness and being stoic
Oh,
too.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the numbing is a protective thing.
Mm,
The idea of that making somebody stoic, I don't really buy into that idea. The numbing is shutting yourself off. It's shutting yourself down.
mm,
Um, I, I don't believe that that's what Stoicism as a philosophy is actually pointing to. It may be what the word Stoic has
mm,
now come to have connotations of, but in terms of what Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus and Seneca were talking about,
mm,
that has nothing really to do with it. Um, but numbing is a protective mechanism. It's a useful thing to do. That there's a reason why your body has learnt to do that for you because you would be it's because you get triggered because you get overloaded in some way, and your body is protecting you. It's incredibly intelligent, but uh, it also is stopping you from living because you've gone into this shut down, usually isolated state, and you but by the numbing action itself, you're not feeling anything.
mm,
And so I kind of, yeah, would connect that with not really living because you've just decided, you haven't even decided, but something within you has made an executive decision that that is the safest route forwards when it may not be serving you.
mm. Do you think when someone feels lost in their life and they are unsure where to start and they don't know that there are people like you who exist and you're ready to help other people who have this feeling of disconnection from the world, what are these three small things, three small steps they can take from tomorrow to start coming back to themselves at home? Like they don't have to contact anyone, but they can just come out of the place they've been, the dark place they've been by themselves.
Yeah. Um, Speaking from a person that has been in that position myself, I was, um, yeah, I went through years of extreme depression, um, existential crisis, suicidal ideation for a long time. Um, and yeah, there's no doubt that those times are incredibly bleak. It's really the loss of hope that really, I think, cuts the deepest. That's the one where it's just kind of like, what actually is the point without hope?
Mhm.
Um, I think in terms of something that they can do for themselves, I would say start by slowing down. Um, just even just taking a few deep breaths and just returning back to your body again can be transformational. I'll do it every few hours or so. I'll just kind of take a breath and be like, oh yeah, I can breathe again. I can do this. I can just be a breather for a moment. And yeah, and then I'd say just come in contact with your body. Just feel your body for a moment. And I don't mean like this, but rather just kind of for a moment, just close your eyes and just see what's going on inside. And again, you could start with the palms of your hands or the soles of your feet. You could become aware of your seat on, sorry, your body on the chair. And then just start to come in contact with different parts of your body, and particularly the stomach. I find like the stomach abdomen area is usually a really good place to hone in on, because I think that's a storage trunk for so many emotions. We've kind of shoved them down and they kind of sit at the bottom of our trunk. And I think if you do that, focus on this area and just ask, what's alive in me? I think that that's enough.
Do you think any habits every single day, if anyone can start pursuing, such as journaling, reading, and yoga or meditation, these things help in the long run? Do they compound over time? And do you implement all these habits to your own self?
I do most of the well, I do all of these things at different times. Yeah,
Mhm.
um, I I have definitely had rigorous structure in the past, and that really didn't serve me for a period. And then smaller amounts of structure really did serve me. And I don't know. I think I'm kind of quite flowy with it now in terms of I know the things that serve me. I know the things that I want to do. And so I'll just allow myself to move between them organically and not lock things in. But I absolutely understand the utility of creating schedules and doing all of this kind of thing. And I, meditation is, I think meditation is the most transformational tool available to us as human beings. I think that yoga is a beautiful way to connect with your body. I think that journaling, it's a phenomenal idea to transcribe your mind so that you could look back on it and be like, okay, that's interesting. And especially doing like gratitude, a bit of gratitude journaling at the end, just to again focus on the positives. We're all focused, not all, sorry, but the world as a whole, in terms of media and these kind of things, is focused on the negative. We naturally have a negativity bias, and yeah, to focus, to make a decision about where we place our focus can entirely change our world.
Do you think that I certainly believe that journaling is a form of self-therapy because essentially you every single day when I journal in the morning, I am noting down my feelings and my thoughts, and over time I notice a pattern of my thoughts being in a downward motion, then upward motion, then downward motion to upward motion, because we all
Mhm.
have down days and then we have great days and then we have, you know, yeah, something like that. So when I see this pattern in my life of journaling, when I'm journaling, it's essentially a form of self-therapy. So I'd never really considered going to a therapist or a counselor until I was 19 years old. And then it suddenly hit me that maybe I should just consider it once. And I did try counseling for at least 3 months. And do you believe that if I started sooner, maybe I wouldn't have been in such a dark place? Maybe I would have been a lot more healed in just when I started in that dark place, and I should have known better.
I personally don't think that dark places are bad.
Mhm,
I realize that they're undesirable. I definitely didn't want to be in one when I was in one.
mhm,
And yeah, naturally, in terms of what you're talking about, in terms of the flow of life, the waves of energy that we pass through,
mhm,
um, certainly, when I don't feel at my best, I want to feel at my best. Um, but these dark periods that we go through really do shape us. They yeah, going back to what I was talking about earlier, this idea of disintegrating down to dust and then rebuilding. That's really what you can do in these moments. They're opening you up and giving you. I mean, these dark moments happen because something is totally out of alignment in our worlds. We know that we are not where we think we're supposed to be, or something hasn't come into our lives that we think we need in order to be happy, or something. There's something that's totally out of alignment. And so it gives us an opportunity to reevaluate. And I think that this is one of the real positives that came out of the COVID pandemic
mhm,
was the fact that people had this moment to reevaluate, to really question what's going on with my life here? What do I actually want?
mhm. Do you think I certainly believe that in this scenario, when a person considers some sort of self-help and healing, because they have been through a very dark stage, there's a certain form of shame attached because they want to implement something which others normally don't do. People just go on with their lives and get to work, go to school, or come back home, go to
Just
their
push it down.
yeah, that's a very normal thing to do. And when someone tries to do something else, like healing and all these habits and meditations we're talking about, there's a certain shame attached to what they're doing in their practice. So, how do you relate? How do you help people who relate differently to shame?
Hmm. Again, shame is it's how you're relating to these very young, vulnerable parts within you. It's saying because you learnt that feeling those feelings was wrong, that wasn't a safe thing to feel. So you try and push them away, you try and keep them at arm's length, you try and keep them outside of your kinesphere, outside of your space, because you think it's dangerous, like a hot stove or a snake. But again, it's about bringing that closer to you. It's about kneeling down next to that child and giving it some attention and just seeing what it actually needs. Because that is so often driving us as adults is our inner child's emotional response to something externally. And if we chose to stop focusing on the external and focusing on our internal world for a moment. And again, allowing time and space, which if we don't allow to ourselves as adults, we're never going to be able to allow it to somebody else.
Mhm.
So if we allow that time and that space for that child, then it just creates these crazily transformational moments. Clients, when they first do this practice of connecting with their inner child, it's so common that they'll have a huge emotional release afterwards. And there's this exhaustion that they experience because they've gone to this place that was totally out of bounds,
Mhm.
or so they believed. And they've managed to come in contact with something that they haven't been in contact with for 20, 30, however many years. And they start to see the world for a moment how they saw it back then. They start to see the light in that child's eyes in terms of their fearlessness to everything because they hadn't yet created this fear framework around everything. And yeah, and they begin to remember who they are at their core, not at the level of performance or people pleasing or anything like that, but the true them. And it's so beautiful. It's the thing which gives me so much energy. It's why I want to serve people in this way because it fuels me. It's it's so yeah, it's magical.
Mhm. It certainly is magical. I still remember when I was in your workshop in Chiang Mai in Old Thing, and there were at least 20, 30 people in that workshop along with me. And three people, right after the workshop ended, they had this massive release of breakdown, tears, because they felt something which they hadn't for at least 20 years. And that is the feeling which is so beautiful because you feel something new, which you already felt back when you were a kid, but now you're feeling it again. So it's a very beautiful thing. And if I could leave all our viewers with a few points for them to feel that inner child again, how would you help them in when if they're listening to this podcast right now?
Um, I could do a short guided kind of visualization for people if that would be useful. I don't really know. Again, it's all very intuitive. I don't have a planned script. I follow what I feel and what I feel the energy in the room is responding to. If that's with one person over a video call, or if that's in a room with 20 or 30 people,
Mhm.
it's about feeling what's required in that moment. So again, it's very intuition led.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, William. One final question, which I always ask my guests, is if you could speak to every single person in the world today, if every person in the world was listening to you for 2 minutes, and you wanted to leave them with a single instruction that could change their life, what would that be?
Ask yourself if that's such a great question. Could you ask me it one more time?
So if you could speak to every single person in the world right now, and for 2 minutes only, and leave them with a single instruction that could change their life, what would it be?
Connect back to yourself. Come in contact with your body. Come in contact with your breath. Start to feel what is going on because again we get so lost in the external world and the actions that we do, and if those actions aren't in alignment with what we want, If we're just trying to do something because we think that's what somebody else wants, then we'll never get the outcome in life that we want, because we're not living for us, we're living for somebody else. And when you open that doorway towards what's going on in your internal world, it allows you to start creating an external world that you want to be in.
Thank you. Thank you so much, William. That was incredible, for all the wisdom you shared, but also the presence. Sorry. For all the wisdom you shared, but also the presence you brought to the space. So thank you so much. And for those listening, you can learn more about William's work on followwhatresonates.com. I'll link that in the description. And William, do you have any books you could recommend to our listeners today, or do you have anything, any podcast you also listen to?
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, first of all, I would like to say just how wonderful all of these questions were. I really, really appreciated the amount of effort that you put into crafting these questions. So thank you.
Thank
Um, in terms of books, there's one particular book which I consider above all others when it comes to this work, which is
you.
called The Path is Everywhere
Okay.
by Matt Licata. Um, he has a PhD at the end of his name, but it's an incredible book, and yeah, it puts into words, I think, better than I can, exactly what this path is. Um, yeah,
Thank you. I'll link that book in the description as well. And thank you guys for listening. If this conversation resonated with you, just take a moment to pause, breathe, and ask yourself what truly feels true for me right now. So thank you so much for listening to the 3M show, episode 9. We'll be back again next week. And for more episodes like this, please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. And if you want to book a one-on-one meeting with me as well, the link is in the description. Until next time, thank you for listening to the 3M show. This is Raghav Goyal, and this was Follow What Resonates.